Hello, hello. All right, let me just take a moment to make sure that this is working. So you're just looking at my screen right here. Just another moment. Let's go to another portfolio day. All right, it sounds like we have audio. So do me a favor, pop into chat and tell me that you can hear me. Great. Got it from Andy and BY. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to leave that chat open, but let me make sure that that audio is dead, so I'm not getting crazy. And let me make sure everything else is working. 1 second. Okay, so that, we have to hit the record. All right, and we're streaming this at 1280, so there shouldn't be any problems because I'm still on Wi-Fi here. Hey, Frosty, how are you? And then, oh, don't turn the power off there. Hey, Lizzie. Is that Lizzie? I think we're gonna be looking at your work today, Lizzie. All right, camera's working. I moved the cameras, so I think we can move that a little bit off to the side. Let's see. Okay. All right, team, I think we are in okay shape. A little too center. I think I just moved it back to where it was. Now it's a little bit better. Okay, and I can push that a little farther out of the way. Okay, cool. So, today, what are we doing? One, I'm working on my posture because you're looking at it from a side view. So my usual posture, Gollum, is, correct, just yell out posture when I got to sit my ass up straight. We're going to look at 4, 5, 6, probably going to look at 6 pieces of art or 6 portfolios. And we're going to review these on the basic principles that Vertex School started on. And I started doing YouTube videos on this back in 2017 when we were in Laguna Beach, maybe even earlier, about the general principles of kind of how do you collapse the job search, right, for a creative, okay? Because, I'm a creative, but I was raised, all over the place. One of the places that stuck the most with me is a trailer park in Alaska, and I remember being in that environment, and kids are generally happy wherever they are as long as things are okay. But I remember going to a friend's house that had wall-to-wall carpeting, which today I would think is the ugliest thing on the planet. Back then, I thought it was like the biggest luxury on the planet. I was like, how can you do this? How can you afford this, right? Because I'm in a trailer, and I don't know if you know trailers, but trailers have linoleum floors. They have linoleum countertops. Bright orange speckled, linoleum. Just horrible. Just horrible. And I didn't know how to do anything professionally, right? And I'm a reasonably bright person. Nobody told me how to go to college. Nobody supported an educational journey for me. I'm Gen X, right? We're the ones we drank out of everybody's water hose, right? We weren't allowed back in. They had their 10 o'clock nightly news announcements. Do you know where your kids are, right? That's the generation I came from. And we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have a lot of things. So I didn't know how to go to college. And that accumulated at a certain point to where I'm in Lawrence, Kansas, and I'm delivering pizza to frat houses in what was really just the most humiliating experience of my life. You're talking about frat houses. These are not noble institutions in my view, or in my experience. These are dens of depravity and, just condescending asshats. So I apologize if you're from a fraternity, but I kind of don't. So I didn't know how to go to college, and I'm being humiliated by these people who somehow did. That shit stayed with me, right? That shit stayed with me for a long time because I never wanted that experience. And somehow or another it influenced me becoming a teacher and wanting to help other people. Like once I had actually achieved something, I was like, okay, how do I help other people who are from a trailer park, who don't know how to go to college, don't know what to do? And that fueled everything, from there. And so, ultimately a big part of what I have tried to do is find ways for you to have success and for you to have power. And I use those words a lot. I want you to have power. And in creativity, they tend to be vague. They're like, work on your anatomy. They're like, let's see some more gesture drawings. Let's see this, let's see that, right? But is that really what gets you a job? And so some odd 10 years ago, I sat down and I was like, it was longer than that. But I was just like, we have to make sense out of this. I have to make sense out of this. Because, the jobs I had trained people for is no ZBrush. That went to the Philippines and got outsourced, so people in the U.S. no longer had the same access. And I mean, that's been doubled now. It's even less. They didn't have the same access to jobs somewhere around 2015, 2018. But Game Arts was still going. So I started Game Art Institute. I started working on that. And my promise was, we're going to figure out how you get a job. What do you need to do? And I started doing boot camps. And we had success. We had people come in, take a boot camp, go out, get a job. How did they have success? That's what I studied. Okay? Because I don't believe creativity is some magical fucking hoo-ha land shit, right? I believe creativity is a series of processes that the masters have just sublimated, meaning they've just kind of put it into their subconscious. It's part of their body. They just do it. They don't even know how they did it because they just suffered and suffered and suffered, and they tried and tried and tried, and then suddenly they don't suffer anymore, and suddenly they don't suck anymore, and they're just fucking grateful that they don't suck. And so then they go on, do videos, do classes, and they're like, yeah, watch me draw, watch me paint, watch me create. Okay, but they don't have it broken down, so you pay to watch them. And you then have to figure it out. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I hate that, I think we can do better. And I have endeavored to do better, right? By having strategies. So mastery is not magic. Mastery is process. Learn the process of the masters. You become a master. That's the key. Not as easy as that, but that's the basics of it, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about here is what are the processes? What are the things that are working? What are the things that are not working? How do we make them work? What is the 1-2 things, right? And we want actionable advice. We don't want some, magical unicorn, go work on your anatomy. You go work on your color theory. Like, sure, those things are relevant, but what specifically, right? Because anatomy is its own land. It's its own universe. You could go into that land and you could be there forever, right? You could go into color theory and you could give Munsell a run for his money and develop an entirely new way to think about these things. What are the actionable things that get you a job, right? And so we reverse engineer that. And just like anybody else, I treat it just like any other job. You want a job as an accountant, you want a job at a law firm, you want a job here and there. You have to know two things. Who are you talking to? What do they want, right? Or need, one or the other, okay? Who are you talking to? What do they need? If you know that, you can triangulate and reverse engineer your success by just giving them what they need, okay? And so the central premise here is that in order to get a job, your portfolio has to be as good as the people who are doing that job right now, okay? That we start there. If your portfolio is not as good as the people doing the job right now, you're not qualified for that job. You got to get your portfolio up. All right. This is the same in all creative industries. This is how it is. All threshold industries. So yesterday I talked about threshold industries. My job, the job of Vertex, the job of really good teachers and mentors, their job is to get your portfolio up to the level of people doing the job now. Maybe above it, but our job is not, and our job is not to teach you Unreal Engine. Of course you get taught that. Of course it's part of it. But if we stop there, it's useless, okay? Because again, we're in a threshold industry, meaning your work has to be at this level. Above this level, you are visible. Below this level, you're invisible, right? It doesn't matter if you know Unreal, if you know Maya, if you know Blender. No, it doesn't know if you understand PCG. Maybe that helps you with a tech art job, but there's other stuff involved. So threshold industry, what's the threshold? And a good teacher, a good mentor, and our job at Vertex is to get you to that threshold, okay? Of course, you have to do the work, right? It's not easy. It's work. Are you putting in 10 hours a day? Are you putting in, or a week, I should say? Are you putting in 30 hours a week? Your mileage will vary based on how much you put in. Your job is to put in every ounce that you can. And if you do that, then you reach the threshold faster, and then you become visible, right? And when you become visible, that's when the possible happens. After that, it's just a marketing job. It's just a visibility job. It's just putting yourself out there and mileage, okay? That's all it is. And so we'll talk, because most of these portfolios that I'm going to look at today are within that visibility threshold, okay? And so what we have to talk about is, how are you marketing yourself? Okay? Who are you marketing to? What do they need? Are you providing that? So this whole thing is going to be premised around who are you talking to? What do they need? And then we're going to reverse engineer our success. Okay? What's your North Star? Do you want to work at Blizzard, Naughty Dog, Activision? It's all very different, right? Very, very, very different. Naughty Dog and Activision, they're different, okay? So where do you want to work? Because that's who you're talking to. Once we know that, then we're going to know what they need, generally, okay? And so I look for things that we call skill triggers. HR, this is a topic of conversation, skill triggers. They'll look through a resume and they'll be like, yeah, they have this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill, and it triggers. And it means, okay, the way they phrased this means that they understand this. It's a skill trigger. We look for skill triggers in the work, okay? And so let's say we're dealing with an environment artist. And there's really two jobs we're looking at Vertex in this, okay? It's character art, it's environment art. There's also tech art, which we're gonna take a look at today. There's also game development. That's not part of what we're gonna be covering today. And so let's say an environment artist, who are you talking to? Are you talking to Activision? Are you talking to Blizzard? Meaning stylized, realistic? Is it very realistic? Is it quasi-realistic, right? These are the things that we need to figure out. And then once we know that, let's say we're dealing with Blizzard. We're going to look at the form. We're going to look at sharps, as Leticia Gillett says. We're going to look at the sharps. We're going to look at the curves. We're going to look at your shape language. We're going to look at your color, right? Do you understand how the colors relate to each other? Stylized work, this is very important. I mean, it's important in everything, but it's important here. And let me make sure you guys can hear me. Good to see you. CG Max, yes, good. All right, cool. And I've got them actually up here. I can view. Okay, good. So Shape language, we're going to talk about color. I love to bring in Simon Fuchs' work and show you how he thinks of color, because he used to work at Blizzard. And Simon's a wonderful human being. So I like to show you his work and show you the attention that's paid, the attention to detail that's paid in stylized work, when you might think stylized work is, it's simple. It's not simple, right? I remember I was talking to one of the guys behind, one of the artists working on Lego movies, and he told me that the texturing had hundreds of layers of noise just to create that kind of, that look. Hundreds of layers of noise, not 10 layers, not 3 layers, hundreds of layers of noise just to create some randomization and make something look a certain way. So stylized is a lot like that. There's a lot more to it than you might think. Color variation, value variation, how is your noise? There has to be noise somehow. How are you doing with that? Is it too clean, too simple? Do you have your gradients? Okay, we're going to look at all of those things. And we're going to look at story. And are you telling the story of the object? This is all of the stuff that, once you're visible, we need to then, what are you telegraphing? And are those what they need to see? Okay? So, any questions? And what I love when I run a class live, and I know a YouTube live is a little different, when I ask you a question in chat, just say yes, no, right? Because I can't see your eyes. I'm literally staring at a reflection of myself, which is uncomfortable, So just you tell me yes, no. Any questions? Yes, no. Let's give it a quick test right now. Tom can hear me, so that was answering. There's always a little latency in this. Let me see you guys all pop in and just give me a yes, no if you have questions. If you have a question, you write yes. You don't write the question. You write yes. Then you start writing the question. No questions, no questions. CG Max has a question, so get right in that question now. Thank you. Nenya Games, not yet. Andy, no. Lizzie, no. BY, no for now. Drew, is that a no? Is that on my glasses on? So that no looked like 110. Okay, all right. So we'll keep moving as CG Max starts typing out their question. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the screen. And again, remember, this is a process. It's a procedure, okay? This is professional art. This is not hobby. This is not, I don't want to show it to my mom. It's professional. We have to take a dispassionate view of it. We have to take a dispassionate view towards our energy in it. It's not a reflection of our value. It might be a reflection of our identity, but treat this as though it's a professional work. You're clocking in, you clock out. You clock in, you clock out, okay? Be professional. And what'll help you, I think, is the simple systems of judgment that I'm going to use. Because all of us have inner critics. And most of us, our inner critic is running rampant. And it's like, this is wrong, that's wrong, this wrong, that's wrong, and everything's wrong. But meanwhile, somebody else who doesn't have the same quality of work as you got the job because they didn't let their inner critic stop them, right? My job here is to give you a framework for your inner critic so that they understand, yeah, that's important, and yet that might be wrong, but it's not really important, right? And nobody wants to pay you a full day's wage to fix a problem that really is not a problem and nobody's going to see. The companies hate that because artists, they like to do shit right. They're not thinking, oh, that's an extra day of work. But the bean counters are thinking that's an extra day of work. They're not thinking it. They know it. They saw it. They hate it. You are now marked. You wasted time. Don't like that. So you need to have a framework to understand how to critique the importance of something, what's important, not, and in this framework, what's going to help you get a job. Okay? All right, let's get moving. And again, just in case you're tuning in, you don't know who I am a founder of Vertex School. So if you want to know more about it, you want to schedule a meeting with our folks, just hit get started and schedule your interview. All right, let's go ahead and let's start with Sadie. Okay, so now Sadie is already at a job, I think. Let's double check. And I don't really like to critique when people are at a job, but I think that job is over. Yes, perfect. So recent, how do we get Sadie a job now, along the lines of what she is interested in, okay? And so we have great work. I don't know if we need the 2D. It showcases some roundness, but it really is distracting. So we've got 1, 2, and then this one. The part where it becomes valuable is hand-painted textures, which is, I'm assuming, what this is, right? You immediately discount something when you say CGMA class, when you say any of these things. I understand you have to give credit. I like people to give credit to Vertex School, no question about it, but just be mindful, that this devalues it. So you got to decide, and so this is really it's cool. It's 2 years ago though, so we're going to keep moving because 2 years is a lifetime in this. This is 2 years ago, right? Okay, cool. Now we're going to come in here. This is 2 months ago, so now we know what you've been doing. Based on concept art, responsible for creating felt garlands and Christmas lights and set dressing them around the tower. Okay. Great. And cool. Okay, so now out of all of this, it's the felt garlands and the Christmas lights, right? Good. What else? 2 months. Handful of locations. Set dress the tower. Okay. Got the skill. I don't know if you did the effects. You didn't do the lighting. So do we have a breakdown on what you did? I would personally like to see more of a breakdown. What are the assets that you were part of and that you were working? So this was quite clear. It presented what they were. Okay, this is good. We got our assets. You can do foliage, fantastic. I'll get to the question in just a sec, CG Max. Yes, all right, good. And then we can see the set dressing, and it all kind of comes together. This is a good post. I like this. Okay, very clear. Next. Assets, soup kitchen, set dressed. Cool. Do we have a breakdown? Yeah, we got a breakdown. Now, in this breakdown, I'm just going to go to, let me see if somebody else has them. Let me see if Lizzie has them. Yeah. So in these breakdowns, Sadie, like right here, I really like to see high poly. I like to see the texture. It really would be really nice, and I'll give Lizzie this advice as well. I'd like to see the texture map. Okay, it can be useful, and you might look and say, well, it's simple, and then it's a small part of it. But I really like to see the texture map. I only need to see the texture map because the texture map also shows me your UVs. And yes, it's hard in these because you might have these UVs packed with other things, or the texture might be packed with something else. I get it. But something where you break this down would be great, especially here. What's the high poly look like? Because we have to ask ourselves, who are we talking to and what do they need, right? And so you're talking HR, okay? They didn't go to art school. So what do they need? They got a list. Okay, George gave them a list. And what George said is they're going to be responsible for high poly. They need to make the low poly, so they have to sculpt it. They have to create the low poly. They have to do the UVs. They have to get the texture. And they have to know a little bit about more advanced texturing, like maybe they need to understand how to have multiple assets on one texture, right? Because in a game, you have draw calls. Draw calls eat resources. So 3 props might share one texture, so it's called into memory once, right? So, and that's a skill trigger, right? Right there, that right there is a skill trigger. If you know that, you want to show that. Okay, so right now I'm HR. I don't see a high poly. I don't even see the topology, and I don't see a texture. So you have not given me 3 of the 4 things that I need. And I'm going to move on to who gives me those, right? Who are you talking to? What do they need? First, you're likely talking to HR, or you're talking to somebody who doesn't necessarily know this. So you'd be laser focused. So texture, all of that. And, you know, it'd be great, like, if all of those assets were on one texture, and it's like, I can see they can do texture packing, high level skill, signal. Yes, trigger. Okay. Bum, ba, bum. Now, this is very cool. Definitely a skill trigger. And this is, number 1 is great animation. So you see the pop and lock. But I really love the color. You've got the color's really working. The variation within it, I think is doing. This is pretty neat. A little intense, but pretty neat. Animated, sweet. I love it. This is a perfect post. What's this one though? Shadow material. Okay, that's what that was. Before, after. Okay, got it. I understand. That was not clear what the before and after was. It was not clear that this was shadow. I had to actually read this. So you may want to be more clear. If not, make it its own post. Somebody in the know is going to know. They're going to figure it out. But your first stop is HR. Just assume your first stop is HR. And assume they don't have a clue. So you have to explain everything, right? That's the most important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, now I get it. There's a shadow in there on the floor, and here the shadow, not so much. So you were able to control it. Cool. Okay, it's a good post outside of that. The thumbnail though, I don't know. I guess that can work. Okay. I got the asset. I got the in-game render. Looks like I got a texture, albedo, but I don't have a high poly. And, you know, of course, these are probably pretty minor, but what is your sculpt? We need something that showcases the topology. Some cases, if there is a high poly that you've done, like maybe you did most of the work in the texture, it's totally reasonable, but more. And I don't know what your topology is like or what your polygon count is like or any of that stuff, right? And so, you know, if I'm going to hire you, I know what my polygon count for the game is. So I don't actually know if you don't have extra edge loops in here. I don't know if one of those prompts is like 1,000 polygons when it really should be like 367, right? Who are you talking to? What do they need? I need to know that. Somebody's going to need to know that, right? And you don't want them to ask for it. Okay, so there we go. Now, what do we do from here? This showcases, and let's go look at LinkedIn. Let's do this. Okay. Use promising for Blizzard games. Okay. All right, I like this one. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to go to Gemini. How is this about me? LinkedIn text for getting a job at Blizzard. Okay, and it'll have suggestions. This is a very strong start. ChatGPT, you did a very strong start. You've hit on specific language Blizzard recruiters and art directors look for, specifically visual clarity and shape language. These aren't buzzwords, they're the pillars of Blizzard art style. Okay, option 1, lead artist, environment artist, blender, the blender specialist, specializing in stylized UI, focused on, and on, and on, and on. And then you can take this and you can say, let's do this one. I like this world. And then, okay, cool. I showed this to your buddy Gemini. He suggested this. Right? You catching it? Seeing that? Okay, play these fools off against each other, right? Run your text through it. Super important, in my view, that you engage these systems. And it's super important that you know how to use these systems, right? And that you know that they hallucinate the hell out of things, even in tiny little ways. So play them off against each other, and you can get really great responses, all right? But if you're making a resume right now, don't wish list that shit. Like, run it through the different AI systems and ask for targeted language. And then, of course, you as the human, you make your choice, okay? So then you're like, all right, I like, I blend painterly. I'm going to start with this one, okay? So now I would say I like this one. So can I open up? Yeah, perfect. I'm going to go here, okay? And there's more, right? So it's not the end of the process. Now we want to say, who are we talking to? Okay. So now what we do is we go over here. Let me go on Blizzard's site. CG Max, you have to submit it. It's already been, the submittals were last Wednesday, so just find that submission link. It should actually be right here in the description. And then we're going to do this again next Monday. So I'll go through from there. Okay, so about Blizzard. This is very important. You know, everybody sits and thinks, well, why would I read their about page, right? This was one of the most important things my brother told me when he and I were working together. You always go to their about page because they're going to have language in their about page that you want to mirror, right? Because an interview is a game. It's a mental game that two people play, but they're the house, so they hold most of the cards. And you're an artist, so you may not be like into mirroring somebody's body language. You might not be into mirroring their vocabulary. Like, you might be a neurodivergent and you may not even be able to see any of that stuff, okay? So you either have a traumatic childhood and train yourself to see what people are doing because you had a traumatic childhood and you needed to know people before they actually revealed themselves, which is what happened with my childhood, or you read the about page. And in the about page, there's going to be language. And they're going to tell you several important things, all right? So what are they telling you? Foster joy and belonging. Is that really like, is that everything? My wife is texting. Is that really like, you go into the executive's room and they're like, we just really want you to enjoy. And we want everybody to, no, of course not. They're hardcore, crazy executives that are making decisions that, positively and negatively affect people, and that's a business. They're a huge business. Fine. You still, in the interview process, you look at their language. They want to craft genre-defining games. So they're looking for high-quality people and legendary worlds for all to share. Okay? All right, great. We want to redefine what games can be. We want to redefine how you experience them. Love and attention to craft. And then delivering at the speed players expect, right? That's kind of key. It's really important right there. We want you to telegraph love and attention to craft, but don't waste our money, for God's sakes. I'm not asking you to spend a week on a table for the love of Christ. Just make this table in the next 2 hours, or your ass is out on the freaking doorstep, and we're going to get somebody else who wants to work for our amazing company and to experience the joy of working here, right? Like it's going to actually happen like that, with some time variation. They're telling you they want you to be fast. They're saying they want to know polygon counts. They just said it right there. They want to know polygon counts. They want to know how efficient you are, right? So they're going to take, if they see two artists and one artist, and they both have the same quality of work, but one artist has detailed information of the polygon count is this, and they've hit efficiency skill triggers. You've packed your textures, you've got all that stuff. If you've done all of that, they're going to take you, that person who's done that, over the person who's just, got the same work but doesn't telegraph what they need. Okay? And we learned that within seconds of this. Okay? So now, what else? Anything else interesting? Creativity, storytelling. They mentioned storytelling. Great. But notice storytelling is way the hell down here. And there's like all this text before they get to storytelling. Okay, so storytelling, is it important to them? I mean, you tell me. It's not that important, right? They want immersive worlds that keep people in it. But Naughty Dog, how does Naughty Dog feel about storytelling? I don't know. Let's see. Let's go into their about. Oh, wow. Look at this. One of the most successful and prolific game development studios in the world and flagship first-party studio at PlayStation. We've created iconic series, and we're responsible for the most critically acclaimed and commercially successful blah, 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 blah. All right, now, who's the hottie toddy on the block, right? Who's breaking out their Gucci? We know who's breaking out their Gucci. They're celebrating, right? So they don't mind a little bravado, as opposed to Blizzard, where there's not that same bravado at all. It's a different vibe, right? And so you can see this is a vibe check that we're doing. So Blizzard had joy. I don't see shit about joy in this. What I see is we're most successful, we're most prolific. What I see is your ass is working overtime. That's what I see. Because we're prolific because we're working your ass, right? So don't come in here thinking that this is about joy and you just really excited to work with people. No. Telegraph to me that you can get shit done. I want to know you can get shit done. I want to look at your portfolio and I want to see that you've already gotten shit done. You've gotten a lot of shit done. So maybe you fit into the team because we're getting shit done, right? And we're wearing our Gucci, okay? So we've received hundreds of awards. I don't see story in here at all either. Oh my God, I did not expect this much Gucci. But anyways, there you go. Let's carry on. Let's go back and experience some joy. We create immersive universes, iconic characters, and aspirations. All right, core values. Okay, if you do not play the game, you don't belong at Blizzard. If you are not playing World of Warcraft, if you are not playing our games, you don't have a love of the game. You probably need to play the game, right? At the very least, before your interview, you need to play the game for a week, right? I don't know if they're going to ask you what level you are, but love of the game. Okay, and then the other one is a passion for greatness, right? So they're not suffering fools. That's fair, whatever. Better together. Don't be a dick. They're not looking for dicks. Like, it's just be pleasant. Pretty straightforward. What else do they have here? Strength and diversity. That we don't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole in this political climate. Boundless curiosity. I don't know how it is now, but Blizzard used to just never get rid of people, like ever. So this might be a holdover from there. Everybody I knew who is at Blizzard, they left of their own accord. Otherwise, Blizzard would retrain people to do other jobs, to fit into other fields. They were renowned for that, but this was 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, they laid off a bunch of people and some things changed. But they were like, you don't want to go here and say, my job is hard surface modeling and that's it, and I don't want to do anything else. They don't want people like that. They want people who are engaged in the learning process and are excited, and you could go work on another project because they like you. They want to keep you. You're part of the family. So they want to move you here. But if you're like, well, I only do hard surface, piss off, then it's not going to work, right? And so full circle this. Let's go back to what we like. I create stylized worlds that feel lived in, atmospheric, story-driven, traditional painting. So you've got some craft in you, right? That's a craft word. And then, you know how to do workflows so you can be efficient, focus on shape language, mood to create a memorable environment. You might at this point come in and say, you don't want to say genre defining because you haven't done that. Do we want to pick any words here? Something about unleashing aspirations of our people. Okay, so I like to, but want something about. Focus on shape language and mood to craft memorable environments. And then you could send this over to ChatGPT, or you could send this over to Gemini, See what this does. This is excellent. What I do and to why I do it. Thank you, Gemini. You're so nice. That's awesome. Okay, and mood to build environments that unleash the imagination of those who explore them. What do you think? I'm pretty sure the free ChatGPT will do a lot of this work. Of course, I pay monthly for things. But this is a resource I didn't have, right? And so I would contract with people and pay for people to help write these things. I would take classes in these things. And, this is the thing all EdTech is facing. All EdTech is facing certain aspects of what we used to teach are just gone. They're replaced, right? It's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful Vertex School is focused on mentorship, and that's our real value, is the mentorship and the time with an individual and within this simple system. But use these tools to help you, right? And that sets your About Us page up. Let me see it here, yeah. And so, if we go back, you can see what Sadie had before, combine love of oil painting and 3D art to create eye-catching stylized environments. And now we have, I craft stylized worlds that are lived in, atmospheric, and story-driven. And, some of this you might be like, that's too, like, achiever status. And you can modulate it. You could even ask ChatGPT or Gemini to do that. But I highly recommend that all of you guys have these tools run through your LinkedIn and adjust your language, because these tools are the ones who are looking at your LinkedIn, right? ChatGPT they have systems and plugins now, Claude, all of that. They're actually, HR is using them to go through LinkedIn to find people. So talk to it to learn what it needs when it's doing the work, right? So your resume, who are you talking to? You're actually more and more talking to AI. What does it need? It needs skill triggers, and it needs professional language. If you didn't have stylized worlds that feel lived in, it's different. You drop down on the ranking. So, lots of talk on that. But that's gonna, I'm gonna say that to everybody. So I don't need to actually do that anymore. We can call that part of it done. So now the next thing that we have to evaluate is, what does Sadie do now? And so this is actually quite simple. And actually, you don't need to look at, well, you kind of, so there's two things. And what I do is I tell everybody to look at Leticia Gillett. I always misspell that. And you follow what she did, okay? It's this simple, okay? What you want to do is you want to look at what Leticia did, which is she got concept art. She did character stuff, but you could do it for environments. She got concept from Blizzard people, Disney people, and then she built those in 3D. And so you need to prove that you can do this job. So that means you need to get concepts, ask the people, get permission, and engages you with them. And then you build 3, 4, 5 of those environments. And that's just all you're doing while you're looking for work, is you're just building those environments, and somebody will see that and go from there. And then of course you need your Instagram. Like, let me see, do you have an Instagram? Yeah. Oh, that's Leticia. Of course Leticia's got an Instagram. Sadie, do you have an Instagram? Sadie, you do not have an Instagram. So I would suggest you get an Instagram because it's used. Just throw your artwork on there. It's part of marketing at this point. Everybody's got to do it. It's great. You'll see all these clips from today. I'm putting those on Instagram, and we're putting those in to help reach people. And they've already reached more people than reels that we did, last week that, weren't engaged like this. You have to engage your audience, right? And this is the thing about being a creative. We have a lot of power, but it's a lot of freaking work, okay? So, Sadie, you need to find concepts, you need to build those concepts, you need to document your process, show people what you're doing. These are skill triggers. You got to do that on Instagram. And you've got to be posting them here, and you got to be posting them, skill triggers, on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is amazing for this. But basically, whatever you post on Instagram, you can post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not a definer. Instagram's a definer. It is the one that defines what LinkedIn would like, essentially. That's what defines what we're used to viewing, okay? So as a creative, you are marketing yourself. I need to know more about process. If you can, and this is always a tricky one for people, because some people are okay including themselves in it. Obviously, I've included myself in everything for a long time. I'm also a guy, so this is, I have a different level of experience in that. My daughter, she wants to show herself and all that stuff. And I'm like, this ain't no way in hell, I'm locking your shit down. Like, we're not, it's not a safe space all the time. And even in my world, it's not a safe space. So you'll have a different level of comfort, okay? But if you show more of yourself, the person, it just creates like you raise up in the authenticity category, and it just becomes, I don't know how to say it. You become more authoritative than just showing your work, right? So seeing my environment, seeing my work environment, that tells people, it makes me more authoritative. It's going to make all of you guys more authoritative. If you're on Instagram, camera, showing this around, here's what I'm doing. If you look at Patrick 4D and what he's doing, showing himself, showing his environment, such a validator. Like it's a validator because not a lot of people do it. So the more you are able to present yourself and be a person on camera, who knew you had to be an actor to be an artist? But that's where you are. That's where we all are. But it absolutely helps. And when somebody sees your face, your workspace on Instagram, again, even if you're a beginner, you just rise up in the hierarchy. I don't know why. But even if you were to just start something where I'm just learning this, and you show your face, you show your process, you show this, it's like people get to know you. And even people who, have been in the industry 5 years, it's like they'll still start to look at you as this kind of special icon. Crazy, right? So, hope that helps. It's a long time. I gave a lot of feedback on Sadie here, guys, that I'm going to give to everybody. So I wanted one concentrated, hardcore go. And, that was like 50 minutes. So now I'm going to go through other people, and in case you didn't catch it by now, like I fly by the seat of my pants. I really don't like to plan things. I haven't worked for somebody in a really long time. And so I do what I want. And so I'm very authentic with you guys, but I might schedule something, and that schedule's going to go right the fuck out the door as soon as I open my mouth, because I'm just going to do what I want. And hopefully it's of value, to you guys. The only agenda I have is just to make sure that you guys are aware that Vertex School exists, and aware that everything I'm saying to you, like, this is the foundation of Vertex School. After that, my agenda is to make a difference in your life in ways that like a handful of people did in mine, in which I wish, more people made a difference. My high school counselor walked by me in the 11th grade, and in passing, dude didn't ask me what was going on, didn't ask what's up. He's like, Ryan, you just have to know you're not going to pass. You're not going to graduate in 12th grade. You don't have enough credits. And then walked away. Like, okay. Nice talking to you. Thanks for giving a shit. Asshat. Right? And now with kids and kids of age, like I would not be a school counselor. If you paid me $1 million, I'd do it for a year. It would not be my career. That was a hard-ass job because kids are dumb as hell. And arguably I was one of the dumbest, obviously. The guy had to tell me I wasn't going to graduate high school. So, obviously things weren't going well for me, and he had enough on his plate. But it didn't make me feel good. And it didn't help. I had to find my way out of a lot of things. A lot. All right, so let me check comments, and I will close this column out. Okay. And CG Max 7, you asked a question a long-ass time ago. I noticed that many companies have varying requirements. Should we take on multiple projects at once or focus on a single, more targeted project? That's not a question of what companies need. So just for a portfolio, should I spend 48 hours on a single or work on multi-quality versus quantity? So again, that's not a company thing, CG Max. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, good. If you submitted your portfolio, then the next time I looked through everybody Monday. So if you submitted after Monday afternoon, then I will see, depending on how many people, next Monday. Okay. Okay, so AI talk. I'll answer that in just a second. All right, so I'm just seeing CG Max if you had any more questions on that. When it comes to portfolio, do you prefer quality over quantity? And is it okay to mix different types of work like 2D, 3D? Okay, so great. All right. So what I said with fits here. Who are you talking to? What do they want? Or what do they need? Okay. So if you're talking to Blizzard, do they want to see your figure drawings? No. Do they want to see your visual effects? If you're applying for a visual effects job, are you? If you're not, I don't want to see your visual effects. I don't want to see your job, your figure drawings, okay? Figure out where you're applying. And this is a problem because a lot of students will go like, I don't know where I want to work. And I will say it to you as clear as I possibly can. If you don't know where you want to work, then you're just not going to work anywhere, right? Who's going to answer that question? Do you want them to make the decision up for you? Do you want some magical fairy to come down and say, I have granted you a job at Blizzard? It ain't going to happen. They're all dead. Magic is dead, okay? You have to decide. You have to be the one that says, I want to work there, and I will do what it takes to get that job. And once you have done that, you reverse engineer, right? And so at Vertex, that's called your North Star. If you want to work at Blizzard, even if you want to work at Disney, Leticia, she didn't want to work at Blizzard. That wasn't her first choice. Her first choice was Disney. That's where she works now. Blizzard was a step, right? And that was her first job out of school. Pretty cool. But if you didn't, you could go high-res games. Who else is doing stylized games like Blizzard? But they might be more of a feeder studio, meaning you go in there, you get a job, and you develop some experience, and you keep working on your work, and then you show it to Blizzard, and then they're like, yeah, you can do this job. And then you do that, and you keep working on your Disney work, and then you go to Disney, and they say, yeah, you can do this work, right? So that's the general process. So I don't want to see anything that doesn't relate to the job that you are applying for. You have to be the strategic one. And most artists in their portfolio, they're not seeing it from a point of strategy. They're seeing it as a point of like, here I am. Here's my heart. I'm bleeding, my bleeding heart. I can draw. Give me a job. I can do visual effects. I understand this. And that doesn't work. What works is targeted, specific portfolio for who you want to work for. That's what works. I've seen it work. Like I'm not making this shit up. You know, it's literally the foundation of Vertex. And before Vertex, it was Game Art Institute, and it was all those boot camps I did, and I saw that work. You focus on what they need, and you provide what they need, and then they give you what you need, which is a job. Okay? So, quality versus quantity. It's not quality, it's threshold, right? So the conversation is not, do I give them quantity or do I give them quality? Because that's not the question. The question is, what's the threshold? And then once you know what the threshold is, you give them that threshold. And you give them that threshold multiple times. Because you have to build trust. One item can get you a job, but you got to prove it. Okay. All right. So let me go through more questions. BY, do you handpick all? I can't tell you what I'm going to do here because, again, I go a little crazy. So right now, I went through everybody that submitted, and I picked 6 to go deeper. So Mondays was everybody, and then these are the 6 I wanted to go deeper in. Nenya Games, if you let AI write your about me based on one company, doesn't that limit your options? Well, see what I just said. It should limit your options. You need to limit your options. If you're going for everybody, you're going for nobody. Andy, it's so crazy that you mentioned that. I recently told AI I don't talk or sound like that when it comes to writing about myself. And Andy, it's not about you, Andy. This is not, you and I were pawns, right? Look, you're at my podcast. You're at my live reel. Is this about me? No, it's about you. You're here because of you. You want something. You need something. Maybe I'm useful. Maybe I'm just some dickhead. You don't know. You don't care, right? You only care to the extent at which you're going to get your value, okay? So, Blizzard, when they're looking at your portfolio, they don't care about you. Who you are, it's irrelevant in the beginning. Later, once you have hooked them, then you show your brilliance. You have to hook them first. If you don't hook them, they'll never see. It's called marketing, because marketing is about how to present yourself so you get that opening. And then sales is a different department that happens later. You first hook them, then you sell them. Cool? Again, remember, it's not about you. You have to be able to step outside of yourself and be like, I am a professional. I will present as a professional for this job. And that's really the end of the whole story. Okay. Raimundo, no bullshit is great as long as we get concrete targets to hit or work with. See? There's Drew. Doesn't care about me, just cares about as long as he gets concrete targets to hit or work. Right? Like you guys got to remember, this is one of the great things about, at least that I've learned. It's not about me. You guys don't give a shit. You give a shit about what you need. Every customer does. I only care about the stuff I need, right? So, yeah, I love that. Thanks, Drew. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Raimundo. And do I have Raimundo in here? I thought I saw Raimundo. No. Somewhere. All right. So Raimundo, technical artist. Let's look at the LinkedIn first. Okay, great. There you are. I thought I saw you. Technical artist with a passion for 3D, specializing. So this is not bad. Just run it through ChatGPT, run it through Gemini like I did. Again, because it's going to give you the words that it itself is going to want to see later on. Play the game. All right, so let's go in and see what are you doing now. You're working now. Responsible for, are you working now? Great. So what do we need, Raimundo? This is probably an important part for us to kind of ask, like, what do we need? How long ago was this? 3 months. Okay, let's take a look. Explores a return. I'm reading. Okay. What did you do here? I am not sure what you did. I'm not sure if you did everything. I'm not sure. Like, this is a great story, but who are you talking to? What do they need? And go ahead and chat. I'll probably see it in time. You can tell me what you did. Okay, I need more. Did you give me more here? Ah, son of a bitch. That just drives me fucking nuts. Okay, that's great. All right, we're going to talk about marketing here in a second. All right, there you go. Now you're demoing to me and to somebody. You're skill signaling here. This is great. Great. Okay, and the variety of the house is perfect. Okay, and a procedural. Son of a. Swear to Christ. Do not have patience for these assets. Okay. All right, what are we showcasing? Oh yeah, very nice, very cool. Tileability, yes. Look at that. All right, so what do you got? All right, okay. Say, Raimundo, I just think you have a marketing problem. Is that a PDF? You grab a screenshot, is that what that is? Okay. Oh, I didn't do the other way. Nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go grandfather's house. And then let's talk. Okay. And you put some notes in here. For the first one, mostly set dressing, lighting, and some modeled some assets. Is there a problem? No, it's not your problem, Raimundo. It's just, for me, it requires me to sign in. But doesn't matter. We figured it out. It's just YouTube annoys me. So don't change anything on your side. Okay, so did you do the camera in grandfather's house? Did you do the camera? Did you do all of that as well? Right? And so, all right, here's what we got. We got a simple marketing problem. And technical artists, they have a marketing problem. Like they have actually a big marketing problem because, you know, what is tech art? I have a program on it and I spent a year trying to figure out what it is and how to talk about it because tech art goes at least two directions. One of them is tool building and the other one is generative art. So, which is what you're doing. You're doing the generative art side where you're using Houdini's HDAs and your procedural content generation, which is fantastic. And anybody who has any interest in this right now, technical art and procedural content generation, like these are the areas that I recommend people get into today. So if I was starting over, I would not get into ZBrush. And I just wouldn't. I love sculpting. I come from a sculpting background. But before I got that job at Pixelogic, my goal was rigging. Because I wanted control and stability. If you want control and stability, technical artist is the job that survives for a long time. And basically just gets rolled into all of the AI stuff. And but you still got to learn your game arts foundations. So very highly recommended that you guys do this. What did you do? Right? So you showed me this really cool visual and this cool video, but you're not marketing to me what you did. You're showcasing it like we're doing a film festival. Okay, so in this, I don't see the textures, I don't see the models, I don't see any of that stuff. And so that I would like to see the asset pack that you use, and I would like to see you break that out. So it's like, this is the wood plank, this is the axe, this is the floor. You know, break these things out as much as you can. Let me see if I can find Peyton's. This one, not this one. Let's see if he did it somewhere else. Come on. Okay, almost ready to show you the screen. I just need to see if he's done that. There you go. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is Peyton Varney, Naughty Dog, Gucci. And so this is a scene that I think he did in college. And so he shows the cool stuff, but then he goes into the asset pack and what was built. And so now I know, like, he's built the whole thing. I have a clearer sense. He's got a grayscale, not rendered, right? So we can close out of that. So right here, this is rendered and lit, but I'd rather have something not rendered. And you can keep the lighting and work from there. But it's clearer what's been done. So he's marketing his work more, and that's what you've got to do as well, is market that. Break it out. Tell me what you did, okay? Who are you talking to? What do they want to know? I want to know if you modeled that. I want to know if you've textured it. I want to know how much you've done it, right? And so we saw that in some of the other posts, but in this post, it would be good to see more of that broken out and explain the asset pack and all of that stuff. Now, the one thing, and this is always a technical artist thing, lighting. Let me go here. Actually, I can go here. One sec, I'll share the screen in just 1 second. Lighting is the problem all tech artists have. Not all, but most. And if you handle it, if you address it, it's a pretty good win for you. Almost ready to show you. Okay. All right, let's talk about this. All right, now notice how light that is. Notice there's no real shadow in those trees. It's quite lit actually, and that's not what we're going for. And then would we see that much of the background? Where is this light coming from? And why are we having this much dark? Well, we're having this much dark because you have a vignette on this. But then this light right here also, how far out is it moving this way? These are, and then hitting here, right? So what's the fall off on that light? And what I want you to think about as you are doing this is what I tell all tech artists that are going through this. Film pack. Now film cinematography site. Film grab, shot deck. I think it was shot deck. I think they were the first ones. So I really need to sign up for this. But you really need to look at lighting. And you need to study this from the same tech artist perspective of breaking things down, what makes a difference, right? And what is the light? How far does it move? And here's the key thing. You almost actually have to move away from the tech artist perspective. And I want you to think about this in terms of, in fact, this might be the problem. A tech artist might look at this and be like, what's the bulb? And do the technical thing. You need to understand that you're painting with light, right? So you're not actually putting in the bulb with the Kelvin, you are painting with light. So you are making an illustration and you want that illustration to have the impact of a high quality illustration, right? And so in movies and cinematography, when they light these things, it does not matter if there's a real light there. It is not important. What matters is, does it look good and set the mood, right? And so with the mood like what you've got going on here, I need some cool lights. I need that kind of cool bluish tone, right? And then maybe some creepy purple somewhere. That's what I really need. So let's take a look at the screen, right? And so I'm looking here, yeah, I don't have it. This green is gonna be great. So can I go in and paint some of that? Let's grab that tone. That is, what tone was that? 4B 73. Okay, I think I got it. Somewhere right there. Let's turn that down. And we'll deal with the saturation. Check that out, right? Now, I'm going to do these in separate layers. Okay, and then I'm just going to erase out some of that. And then we do not need, we should not be able to see that much. Anything else I want to do? I'm going to color that light. So a little oranger on the outsides. Redder out there, and then a little bit more yellow. Towards the center, and then turn that down. So make that an incandescent bulb. And so these are like little small things that we start to think through. You know, let's go ahead and undo. It's flat. Now we're starting to add a little bit more dimensionality to it. Part of that is the value of these guys in the background, right? So the trees being so lit right there flattened the actual space and really started to mess with things. So then there becomes compositional rules that you have to learn. And that green is a little intense. Looks better on my screen. And then we might even blur that. Filter, blur. There you go. So you have to start thinking about your lighting in an illustrative capacity. You've got your HDAs, you've got all of that stuff, but if you start to kind of learn the illustrative side of it and you start to kind of think of these things as cinematography, especially since I see you doing full-on, videos, it can be pretty powerful for your career. All right, so there's two things that I think are important for you. One, you need to unpack what you've done more. Market to me what I need, which is to know what you actually did on that, okay? Maybe you just got a bunch of asset packs. I have no idea. So you need to tell me more of it and unpack and market your efforts. And then the other thing is I always recommend you all get into lighting more. Maria Yu has an amazing class at Vertex. And that's one of the things that can really just totally change your life in terms of the work you can produce. With tech artists, sometimes valuable, sometimes not, because sometimes your value is just the procedural coding. Like I have a friend that, doesn't light for shit. It's not hurting his pocketbook at all, right? So he's doing just fine. Doesn't need to. And now is into procedural stuff, and that's moving into AI stuff and all of that. So that's my advice. Get cinematographic, especially in here, right? We can do a lot more with the color in here. Maybe even just desaturating. Like, should we have that much color? And then where's my value structure? So value is one thing. There we go. Like that. That's a bit of a vignette. Sorry. I kind of like that. So it's between screen and lighten. Lighten is actually better. And I'm going to actually put a mask on that. And within that, let's... just want to get a little bit more color in a few areas. Even that though, this is so red. I would really recommend kind of thinking through some of those tones. Just cool it down because it's so warm right now. Everything's warm. I don't see a lot of warm, cool happening. I don't know about that. But you need to get more. If you're going to showcase this, you're going to showcase the lighting, you're going to showcase the environment. We really need to practice the lighting. So, does that help, my friend? Could you take a look on that? What are you asking for? If you have time, could you take a look on that as well? I would really appreciate it. So I think you're talking about, I think there's a delay. You might be referring to what I just looked at. Let me know though. And let's just say, I'll leave that there for now because you had a question. All right, show you the screen. Christopher, okay, LA. Strong foundation, work spans, environment, on from there. Where's your LinkedIn, Christopher? I need a LinkedIn. Nobody's gonna go in and try to find your LinkedIn like this. I think I looked at it earlier. Okay, 3D environment artist. I'm a 3D environment, well-structured traditional year approach 3D. So AGMI, okay, just ended 5 months ago. Okay, And LA Film School. Okay, cool. All right. Other half of your portfolio. Oh, let's see. Let's do Christopher. Stay focused here. So this is what we worked on. Okay. This might be hard because you might not have the assets anymore, but what did you do? I see screenshots. I don't know what you did though. I was responsible for building the stadium from the ground up, designing it to modular with both. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a problem. I handled the modeling, the layout, and the tight space. Okay. Shoot. Okay, so I am not sold on the marketing, my friend. Let's take a look at this. It's 2 months ago as well. What do we know about this? Okay, very cool, but all right, so Christopher, this is actually there's a relatively simple ask from you. One, you need to put your LinkedIn on there. Two, if you have Instagram, you need to put your Instagram in there. And three, you just got to do a better job at marketing what you've done. Your problem is a marketing problem, right? And so, remember we talk about this as a threshold industry. Your work has to be here, otherwise, you're not visible. And then once you're here, you're visible and it's possible. But you have to market yourself. And of course, maybe friends and, maybe you get lucky, always. But otherwise, you need to market yourself. And you're not marketing yourself. You're presenting yourself, which happens to a lot of us. You might be in the problem where you're not at the company anymore and you actually can't do what I'm going to ask you to do because you don't have the assets. So you can't break them out. You can't showcase what they actually are. And the only answer to that is you got to create another environment and you got to break that out. And you got to do that. That's the work that has to happen. But who are you talking to? What do they need? In none of this on the portfolio do I know for a fact what you've actually done. There's no work on this portfolio that I have seen that I know what you have done. On top of that, your descriptions are very long. I am dyslexic. You have a paragraph with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 lines long. You're not Faulkner, okay? You're not going to win the Nobel Prize for descriptions of your work on ArtStation, all right? Paragraphs. Everybody here, I beg you, paragraphs. If you ever get an email from me, there's probably 2 sentences per paragraph. Paragraphs. They're God's invention for us dyslexics. I'm not going to read that. It's intimidating, scares the shit out of me. Like I feel visibly uncomfortable when I see large blocks of text. Gabriel Garcia Marquez did, Wonders for the literary world with 100 Years of Solitude. I couldn't read that thing to save my life. It took me a month just to kind of get through it. And that was reading almost every single day, all the time. Paragraphs, please. And put the main point at the top of the paragraph so I can speed read. Okay, so I don't know what you're responsible for. Oh, I was responsible for X, Y, and Z. That's its own paragraph. Paragraph break. Hello. Okay, make that its own thing. Right? So that needs to happen just in text. Run it through ChatGPT and have it, edit that. But I see a ton of stuff. I don't know what you did. You told me, but I need to see it because I'm HR. So I'm going to go to the head and I'm going to say, hey, this guy where did he write that? Oh yeah, it was over here. And I'm reading off of this tablet. He was responsible for building the structure in the surrounding exterior area, handling layout, modular assets, creation, lighting, set dressing. But what did you do? I kind of still don't know. You have to tell me visually, right? And maybe that is just you can black out everything, like you just put a black overlay over stuff that you didn't do. But I mean, there's probably a team effort, so it's a problem. Again, it's a problem a lot of people have. So if you did any modeling, I would want to see the assets, the high poly, the low poly, or the mid poly, low poly. I'd love to see the texturing. I'd love to see what you did. I would love for you to break it down. Nothing's broke down here. So I have to take your word that you can do this and that you have the language, but here's the important part. A friend of mine worked at Naughty Dog for 10 years. I mentioned this yesterday, or last session. When she went to work on Ghost of Tsushima, even though she worked for a decade in the industry, at the best in the industry, remember, Gucci, they're saying they're the best. Naughty Dog, she had to do 3 art tests. 3 art tests to prove that she could do the job. Because they saw her portfolio and they're like, we still don't know what you did. And we don't know if you can do this job. Like maybe you just did grass in this scene. Okay? I don't know. Somebody was responsible for grass. Somebody was responsible for lighting, for the building development, the debris. It was not one person. You have to market what you did. Okay? Until you do that, it's always hit and miss. After that, after you've actually broke it down, then HR can come in and they can be like, yes, 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 they hit it, they did this. So here's what you got to do, Christopher. If this project, the Lost Cove or Grasslands Ruins, either of those, shit, how old are they? 2 months ago. Break it down, dude. Show me the high polys. Show me the low poly. Show me the mid poly. Show me the asset packs. Okay, show me in Unreal Engine, screenshot of it inside Unreal Engine, show me you messing around with the lighting, give me behind the scenes. You have to market what you're doing. You don't present it, you market it, right? Very different. Artists like to just put it up on a wall and be like, I don't know what the fuck it means. Well, that shit ain't gonna work in a professional environment when you have 1,000 people applying for a job and 300 of them are actually good. They're just not going to ask you questions. They're just going to move on. Unless you have a friend. Friend's going to get you something. Recommended by a friend, that'll get you something. But that's the only thing. So market. Break it down. Tell me what you did. So I've looked at your portfolio. I looked at it Monday. I looked at it today. I still don't know what you can do. I should look at your portfolio and I should know exactly what you can do. 100%. You can texture. Oh, cool. I see you adjusting the lighting. So you adjusted the light in this as well, right? You maybe just changed where the shadow was going. I don't know. Tell me more, my friend. Very important. Cool? Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me see. Raimundo, I don't know what you mean by I have the other half of my portfolio here. I see 4 items. You might be referring to this. But this is good. I don't see a ton of problems because number one, you are educating. So these are good. And I think totally serve the purpose. Like you can't do, I don't think you could do tech art better than that. If there's something else that I'm missing, by all means let me know. But these 2 posts are good. These 2 end posts need work. And they need you to just break down more of what you're doing, quite possibly like you did here. In fact, I mean, so I told you guys this yesterday. Marco, and this is a long time ago, right? I mean, look at this guy. Holy crap. So good. Jesus. But you know, some time ago, Marco, thank God he still leaves this. This is Marco's work, and he was lost like all of us are in the beginning. He's doing something cool, right? But he's still in the beginning of his journey, okay? And he came in, he did a boot camp with me. This is the Game Art Institute. And the first thing I have them do is create a prop. And it's the same at Vertex. I have people create a prop because you have to tell the story of that object. And so artists, again, you know, big A, we're like pie in the sky. I'm going to create a cyberpunk character. He's got this great backstory. He's got all this stuff, right? And nobody cares. So we present it. We put it out there. We don't explain anything. We present it, and we're like, this is this cool story. Nobody cares. Because nobody cares. Because that's not what they care about. What do they care about? Tell me in the chat. What do they care about? What do they want to see? I'll pause here for a moment. What do they want to see? And that's what we focus on when we come in and we create a prop. It's just like pick a prop and show me that you can make this, present this, market this as something that somebody wants. So absolutely what we see here, somebody wants somebody to make an object like this. It's absolutely something that they want. And I want to know, can you make this optimized? What is your texturing like? Oh, look, there's all kinds of great noise. And look, his UV, I don't need, the UVs are all right here, right? So it's like, oh, you know, laid out the UVs pretty well. This is it, 1, 2, and 3. I got some details and I got the whole thing. It's marketed perfectly. And then create a character that somebody would want you to make. Raimundo, I'm referring to this YouTube link. I'm not seeing a YouTube link, Raimundo. That's probably what's happening. It's culling the link. So, but it does. I mean, if it's outside of ArtStation, it doesn't matter. It needs to be on ArtStation. So right now, there's nowhere to share it. All right, so we need to focus on marketing what we do. This is designed for what we need from folks. And so, Raimundo, if you can put it on ArtStation, that's the best. Okay. What do people need? I'll have to review that later. I think you're in the Discord. Okay, let's take a look at Lizzie. All right, we are now an hour and a half. I am losing my fire, and I got 3 people. Okay, but the good news is I've actually covered the majority of what I really need to cover, right? I mean, honestly, if you guys just focus on who you're talking to and what they need, you can intuit this, okay? But I am going to continue to explain and present the best practices. Who are you talking to? What do they need, okay? All right, Lizzie. I need to look at all of Lizzie. There he goes. And so I've got an ArtStation, or sorry, a LinkedIn, and I've got an Instagram. And that was 2 weeks ago. Okay, good. And freelance, okay. One, I have to say I love the brand, Lizzie, and I think that it's actually more important than most people think, but very wise, right? One, I see you, you look approachable, you have a color palette that works, and so now you have a direction, right? It's so, and the work is, correct me if I'm wrong, stylized-ish. You're not going to Activision, you know, here, yeah. This is 2D artist and 3D generalist. Now you need to get more specific, right? And so you have to have a mission and you have to have a passion. What is the mission? What's the passion? That first, I'm going to look at that. So you have great branding, visuals. Do I hear it in the messaging? Dutch creative with a passion. 3D game artist, 2D with a background in design, substance, data. Close. What's your mission, Lizzie? You have to have a mission. This is descriptive, 2D artist and 3D generalist, but it doesn't like tell me anything right here. 2D artist and 3D generalist. I mean, it tells me something. It's information, but it's not mission. And with a great brand like you have, it needs a mission. What is your mission? I would limit the drawings, but at this point it depends on what you, again, it depends on what your mission is. I'm just looking right now, guys. Let me not do mature content. I don't trust it on YouTube. I don't want it to ding me. Something's up in the colors here, Lizzie. I need to take a moment and look at. The colors seem a little muddy. This is a little trick I learned from photographers. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's check your saturation. There we go. All right, so maybe more saturated in the front, less saturated in the back. Okay, yeah, like that. There we go. Okay, and let me, I think I still have it. Yeah, that's before, after. All right. So let's zoom in. Not bad, but the color is like a little dirty. And maybe that's the style, maybe that's the look. But it's something, this is just really something for you to look at, is how the color is, and then compare this with Disney and compare it with and Pixar and other places. And you want to pay attention to their value, which is something I'm sure you're comfortable with. Pay attention to their chroma. Pay attention to the value in the shadows, right? And how much contrast. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm just like, it might be that the shadows are just really compressed, right? And so that in and of itself is leading to a little bit of a dirty kind of quality to it. But we can get a little bit more work. That's adjusted a bit, and maybe it's a mix of the two. Like this shadow on this side here, I was like, that could use a little, it just looks like IKEA. It doesn't have any warmth to it. But now it's got a little bit more warmth. So color is something I would look at in this conversation. This is great. So you've got a presentation, like I see this, I see this, I see this in situ, like another view that's not necessarily, from the render frame. Fantastic. I don't know if I need this shot. This shot's good. What do I have here? Oh yeah, 3Ds are always great. But what I would suggest afterwards, always great to interact, right? Because I can see the inspector, and that's high value. I would put this on its own. I don't know why there's a video up here. These are two different posts. And for your job, this is irrelevant. What's relevant is what you did here. Okay? And then so now the next thing that you would do is, if we go back to Marco, I would love to see more props. Like, explain what this cabinet, give me more breakdown. Show me. You've got this, you've got close-ups of some of the texture, you show me the wireframe, and you show me the texture, right? So give me more details about the amount of work that you actually did. Only on the environment. I don't know what this video is. I think this is a sidetrack, so cut that out. Cut the bottom part out with the character. It's not relevant for me to see this environment. But what would be is to see the texture and the low poly. Right? That's really important. Okay, and I think, what are you, term 1 right now at Vertex? So there's time. And these are 2 years ago, so that's a little bit of a problem. But it's the same deal. It's, where's your presentation? I need the model rendered, lit basic, topology, texture. I don't have that here. So I would love to see that here. And this is great. I love this one. Again, when you say coarse and all that, it kind of degrades it a little bit. But I'm really excited to see what you do at Vertex, because this is showing, a lot of skill. And so you really want to be focusing on specific projects that help you get that job, right? So let's take a look at this. This is your term 1. I think, yeah. And this is a great, for me, gramophones are a great term 1. So we want to know the story, right? And please, more paragraphs. Story. Where's this thing lived? Has it been in the attic? Has it been out in the open? Has it been in a kid's room? Where is it? Where has it been? These are the things that we want to understand more of. But you have great variation. Do you guys all see, like, there's stuff going on there. So this is, we could call this value variation, right? There's also color variation. So that's good. If you look over here at this side, you can see there's actually a color, you know, there's stuff going on. So there's a lot of color variation in this area, in that area. There's a lot of value variation all over the place, showing a little watermarking and things of that nature. Fantastic. Okay. Down in here, this is great. I'd say, you know, you just got to work on your spec. That's the one thing I think you need to work on the most is, could this be shiny anywhere? Could this be shiny? It reads as very dry. This reads okay with that spec, but from this view, I don't see the spec. It looks dry as a bone. I would really want to see, and so that could be anisotropic. Anisotropic might be what's not doing that. You got to put anisotropic on. The metal is good, although the metal is too specular for how beat up it is. So you got to address that. And then this is not, so less spec, more spec. It's a lot of damage. Might be too much. You got to think that through a little bit. Try a version that doesn't have as much, but overall, if there's one thing to change in this, see, that's great. I got some reflectivity in there. If there's one thing to change in this one, Lizzie, is the spec. So I don't know if I would go adjust color variation, value variation. It's like there's a lot. And you can go south quick. But I would take another pass at the specular and see if you can't bring it up in some areas just to take the dryness out and tamp it down in the metal. That would be the key, right? Does that make sense? And then what is this? This is 10 months ago. So this is I still don't know what this is. It's a game, okay, but I don't know what you did. I mean, there's a lot here. Honestly, this could be multiple packs or multiple things where you could say, here's the character design, and you use the word character design because it's a skill trigger. Character design, environment design. Here's the environment. 3D environment. Here's the 3D characters. That's 4 posts right there instead of 1. Because who are you talking to? You're talking to HR. They don't care about a game per se, unless you're getting hired to, you know, build a short game, which, you know, it's a different conversation on whether or not you're going to be gameplay programmer, you're going to get into game development. Most likely you made the assets, and that's what was important. And so in that sense, we talk from an asset perspective. I did some design, I did the production, you break it out, and you have very clear, I did this, I did this, I did this. And work from there. All right, that's my 2 cents, Lizzie. Now, later, when you get to term 2, term 3, I'm gonna advocate that you take your drawings off or you drastically reduce them. You have to decide, right? So if you're at Vertex, that means you're all in on 3D. And you're in the environment track, I would assume, and I would recommend you do the environment track. And you get underneath Jacob Clausen's tutelage. And then in that case, your focus is 3D, you're an environment artist for games. Your direction is, you know, the more stylized Disney, Blizzard, all of that stuff. And you just focus on that. Of course, term 2, Jacob has specific things he's going to have you do, so I don't want to talk over Jacob. And he's been a godsend to us and the students. So that's the most important thing. Cool? And it's early. Okay, Marlene. Yes, Marlene, let's take a look. LinkedIn, great. 3D environment artist, prop artist, great, nice and simple, very clear. Why is, oh yeah, what? Do I not have a header? Give me a header. Why do I not have a header? Go through LinkedIn, run this through ChatGPT. Just totally lost my mind. So just, earlier what we did, run this through it. This is good, passionate, special love for stylized props and environments. Fantastic, okay? Now, you're posting your work, which is great. Okay, and then, so now I need that header, and let's go through. Posted last year. Good. See your sculpt. I need to see the sculpt. Great. I'm so glad I see the sculpt. I see the texture. Couldn't do better. Fantastic. Your texturing could use more gradients. This is what I always tell people. There's got to be some dirt there. There's got to be some, this is handled differently. This area is handled differently than that area is handled, than this area is handled. They all have the same spec, the same everything. So now you need to create more variation within that. Yeah, that's fine. Same with the rope. Give me more gradient, right? And gradient, let me show you how important this is. So we're going to look at Simon now. Okay, so we're going to look at this environment. And look at the gradients. You should see gradients literally everywhere. Some sort of ambient occlusion, dark versus light. It's everywhere. That has value variation. You got gradients. There's also color variation. Like some parts will be a little bluer, it'll be a little yellower, a little, like this is definitely more saturated yellow, this is definitely more saturated red and pink. Okay, these are the cornerstones of the visuals. So this guy, for example, you're going to darken it, and as you darken it, you're going to saturate it. All right, and then same here. Darken it, saturate it. Darken, saturate, darken, saturate. Okay, now let's just blur that out. Without it, with it. Okay. Oh, why did that not blur? Gaussian blur, and that's too much. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so without it, with it. Okay, and then now we would also do color variation. So you'd come in here and let's say make that a little bit more, let's make it a little bit more pink. Same color. I should say same value. We roughly want the same value. See how all I'm doing is changing chroma, okay? Chroma meaning color. And then let's go here and we'll go even more yellow. Look at how strong that is. That yellow can be, as you get into these greens, it's like it really starts to, you really start to pay attention. All right, anyways, now let's vary. Let's turn that off. Back on. We have now put gradients in, and we've now added color variations and later some value variations. Voila. Voila. Make sense? So in all your work moving forward, it's just another hour of work. That's what you need to do. So as we come through here, and so most of that you would have learned on the first day. Oh, you went with Remy. Good. Cool. Good sculpt. Like it. Yeah. Good sculpt. And just the texture could use gradients. You could use a little bit more gradient on where that handle is and, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, now you've seen it, right? So now you probably be aware, like, yeah, we got to saturate it. We got to come in and be like, yeah, let's darken that. Let's darken where these guys connect. It just adds life. And then same with the rope. Darker, more saturated. Doesn't need to be everywhere. Let's come at the tip. And I'm going to lighten it, and I'm going to desaturate it as I lighten it. Lights are generally going to get less saturated. Less saturated, lighter. If you don't do that, then it starts to become like prismatic. Becomes really weird. There, okay. Small changes, but they all add up. Oh, I don't have the original. Maybe I can copy it. Yeah, there. Not gonna match up. Oh well. Hopefully, I think it makes sense. I'm beating a dead horse, as they say. And I feel like you've already kind of captured a lot of that. You can see the gradients on the bottom, gradients on the top. So this is looking really good. Of course. Go for it, YouTube. I literally am signed in, okay? But you want me to go to your site? Fine. Look at that. Really beautiful. I love that. Gradients, really love the gradients. I'd say the only thing you could do is some warm and cool. It's all warm. You're kind of getting there, but we need a little bit more. Let's say, let's grab this. How do we get any cools in this? And you might use some noise in some of this, so it looks like that. No, there's some variation in that. Okay, so the way we get cools is we desaturate. Generally, that's what we do. So like I can just desaturate this, and that's gonna give me something a little bit cooler. But I think I could use some little bits. Let me zoom in. Right, so right in this area, I want you to turn your eye here, and then these are the two spots. Okay, so in those two spots, you see I've added this, it almost looks like it's this purple tone. And then I've added this kind of, it's actually all over here, these little, like extra little colors. Like just desaturated, right? So that is me just doing a little bit of extra painting on top. And this is something you can do in Substance Painter. You can just literally paint it. You know, it's a paint layer. And all I'm doing is I'm taking the color that exists and I'm desaturating that. Nenya, which, I'm sorry, I saw that question later. Should I keep it on my portfolio? I don't think you should remove anything. I'll look again though. And then see up here at the top, you see how yellow this is, you know? Really cool, but desaturated. And it'll move from this kind of more prismatic, because yellow's a pain. Like it just goes into this bright freaking tone like right away, and you're like, it's a little hardcore, dude. Can we like tone that down a touch? There you go. Okay, let me zoom out. I'll zoom right to that. So now, without it, and you can see how warm it is, right? And then now I've just gone in and I've just added some desaturated, same value, but desaturated. Arguably, I probably need to drop the value and desaturate it to just put the cool in there. Cool? Does that make sense? And this is true for everybody, right? You know, when we're looking at texture, you need to establish, I mean, we have to first remember this is a painting. At the end of the day, people experience this in the same way they experience a painting. So the same rules apply. Color variation, color harmonies, warm and cool harmonies, like, you know, all shape language, all of that is important, even in these 3D environments. And they're simple to do, right? The green would need the same. Careful, the green in the front is getting quite saturated. Saturated green's a hard thing. I would be careful. The green that's on the top, this is perfect. Great sculpt. Doesn't need to be any more than that. That's fantastic. That's good. And yeah, you broke it out. Holy crap, perfecto. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. Okay. Third and final, okay. Why do I keep falling for that? I love it. We have effects. Great. Love it. They're moving. Awesome. Okay, we got our close-ups. We see all the stuff that you've built. We see details. That's good. We see your asset pack. Great. We see your sculpt. Great. Who's your mentors? Oh, Steven, of course. Great job. This is perfect. This is exactly how it's supposed to be done. Yeah, looks good. I mean, let's think that through. Where am I seeing that? I mean, I think your texturing, we've talked about it, the gradients and all of that, like especially on this, like this worries me when I don't see gradients on these things. And especially when you realize they use gradients a lot. A lot, like literally everywhere is ambient occlusion. So if you look just at this area, I'm like really zoomed. Sorry. Okay, so you look at just this area, like look at, I mean, there is a ton of, they are not messing around, even in a tiny area like this. Look how yellow that is, this is. Like, they are not screwing around. They're putting detail in every square inch of this place. And so I get a little scared when I see this and I don't see variation. So I see, okay, that's about a good 2 feet of space. I don't see any here, I don't see any here, that worries me. So those are areas where I would add gradients in. Now, that done and said, it becomes an issue of like, are you putting those in the texture? Because maybe it's modular. Or do you have a decal that does that in environment, right? And so really what we have 2 ways that we think about presentation like this, that I think about. One, if they don't see that you can, I'll say it this way. When I was in school, I 3D.sk, I sculpted this head that, from reference at 3D.sk, and I showed it to somebody else, to one of the mentors. And they were like, look, the eyes are in the middle of the head, so you got this wrong. And then I was like, well, in the reference, his eyes weren't in the middle of the head. And the guy looked at me like I just said the dumbest thing on the planet. I mean, I can still see his face right now. It just looked at me like, that's so dumb. And I really don't give a shit. It's just no care at all. And that's how it is with that question, which is it supposed to be decals? It's like, I'm looking at your portfolio to see what you know. And I only have this little window of time. So if it gets too complex, it's like, I'm out. I don't care, right? And that's basically what this guy was saying to me. I was correct. This guy had a mental, there was an issue with this individual, and the top of their head had kind of caved in a little bit. So the lesson that I had there was don't pick an abnormality, because if you're in the position of explaining your work, you already lost. It's the war is done. It's over. So you don't want to be in the position of explaining what you did. You want it shown. And so in this, I would like to see the texture. Even if you literally just duplicated that file and titled it for portfolio and you put it in that file, that would be fine with me. Because in my mind, I would almost never be like, oh, but they broke modularity. No, it just wouldn't happen. What would happen is oh, it's a completely simple texture. Do they know about gradients? Do they know about story and that the hands are here and there? Like, oh my God, like, how can they, right? So I hope that makes sense, because that's a tricky one. It's like, well, Ryan, I'm doing it because of modularity. I'm pulling these things around and all of that. But portfolio is the wrong place to be explaining. So. Okay, good. Yeah, and you may be getting this latency, so let me know in chat. I'm checking it out. So that's the only issue I got, is that I could use more of it. Otherwise, we're in great shape. Keep everything that's on here, get yourself a header, and then work through your language. Like, I want here that you're passionate about environments. So what you have on LinkedIn, run it through ChatGTP, and then now you start the process of marketing. And so LinkedIn, let's go in LinkedIn. That's good. That's a good post. Good post. 10 comments, 4 reposts, 124. Holy hell. And I didn't share this. The hell? How do you even share these things? Do they call it a repost? Is it going to work? Why won't it work? Oh, now it works. Okay. Now starts, there's a couple of things to think about term 3, like where do we go from here, right? So you have to basically put the mindset on of I'm making work, right? So don't stop making work. You've got 4 posts. We want to make work as much as possible and do what Leticia Gillett does, which is, or did, find concepts that people are doing, ask for permission, and make those concepts, and then share it with them, okay? And do that a lot. And just keep doing that. Keep sharing what you've done on Instagram, and you need to just keep making work because you're visible now. Like you have the skills, okay? So you're up here, you're visible, and so now the more work you produce, the more eyeballs you put on your work. You have eyeballs on these things, so that's great. Now you're just in this race to kind of make yourself undeniable, as they say. And one of the ways we do that is just by a giant amount of work, right? You're hireable now. But you put 4 more environments on there, you're that much more hireable. You know, there's that much more proof. And some people will say, I need work experience. So give yourself a job. Your work experience is that this is your job. You're now making all of these environments, all of these characters, all of this stuff. And that's the beauty of being an artist, is we really get to create our own work experience. Because you're doing exactly what they would do in the field. Like if you learn from Stefan, then you learned like the actual process. You know you need to do ... and you need to show ... high poly, low poly, mid poly, whatever it is. Show the texture, show all the maps, and show your asset pack, build asset packs. It's a function of just keep making the work, keep posting it. LinkedIn is one of the best, and then really start applying as much as possible. So work through that resume and go from there. And let me know if you have questions, all right? And then, of course, who was it? I don't know if Raimundo is still here, but hit me up on Discord. That's a great place to share the link, and I can further that with you, Raimundo, and then here with you as well, Marlene. If you got questions, hit me up on Discord. I live in Discord. Like we're in Discord. It's where all the business conversations is. It's where everything happens for the company and the school. Okay, so great job. And last person. Okay. I got Instagram. Yay! I got LinkedIn. Yay! Okay. So now I've got, what do we have? What are we building at? 3D artists, 3D texture artists. Okay, let's dive a little deeper. 3D, is it texture artist or 3D environment artist? Environment artist with high poly to low poly. I need more on that. ChatGTP, help. Work experience. You're doing Laertes is kind of it's a contract job. Cool. So, what have you done for me lately? Let's see. Food miniaturist? Holy shit, I want to know more about that. That sounds so cool. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the work. Okay, good. I am 50-50 on this main image. You guys can all still hear me yet? Oh, there you are. You're here. These are old. These are old. These are 3 years ago. Yeah, these are old. Where's the recent? Man, we got to tackle that. That's problem number one. Talk to me. What is going on? Oh, damn. 2019. That will not fly. 2019, you were here. Then you did polymer. Then you went into portfolio development. And now you are contract. This is a tricky one, my friend. What do we want? What are we trying to do, right? And so you already got a contract job. Yeah. So you're already making work. So it's really a question of, what do you want, right? And you're in a position to define things, but you have to pick and you have to decide because it's a marketing job, right? So I see skill. Like I can go in and I can be like, you got to fix this, you got to fix that. And by all means, I'll do that. But I got to know what you want to do. And that's like a central tenet at Vertex. I don't really believe in just giving crits for the hell of it because there's something wrong with everything, right? Like, I mean, I could look at any video game and I will find anatomy problems. No question, right? I could look at anything on Naughty Dog. There's no Gucci that's got Gucci on me. You're going to have anatomy problems. And so I will find them. But are they useful, right? And when we're talking about a professional artist, we have to find out what's useful. What's the one thing that if I apply this one thing, I focus on this one thing, it'll 80% chance it'll improve my prospects at getting a job. What's the one thing? Well, you don't know the one thing until you know where you're going, right? Because there's one thing to here, one thing over there, one thing over here. We don't know. You got to pick. And so I'll tell you one thing right now. Instagram, LinkedIn, and ArtStation, update them all because nobody is like 4 years ago, 2 years ago, almost doesn't exist. It just, if there's no work within the last couple of months, unless you have a track record like you've been at Activision, you've been here, like if there's no work for 2 months, chance is not good. Too many potential problems, right? Did you quit? You obviously don't care about it, right? That's what they will think because all the work is 3 years old. It has to be recent, right? And again, in this era where we're dealing with AI, we're dealing with all these things, and AI is not the big issue right now. The big issue is a bunch of dumbass executive decisions, including at the higher end of the U.S. government, right? Our interest rates suck. People are losing money. AI is creating a culture of fear, although it's really an opportunity. There's a bunch of stuff happening. So, what do you want to do? How much of the contract job can you show? Because that's a problem. She mentions my contract job is taking up much of my time, which they will. And that's why your contract is because you're not, something to my eye. They don't have to pay you overtime. And you can be let go like that. So I see you're in Dallas, which means you probably want something more stable. They're also not in the US. I think they're in Spain or the UK. So they don't follow our labor laws, right, at all. So there is nothing more important than you start a personal project. And I 100% understand that that's not necessarily news you'd like, but it's what you need to do. And so I'll look at the chat here and say, if the goal is to have more stable work that doesn't work you so hard, there is no other route than to make another project targeted towards a specific company. You pick your North Star, just like you did at Vertex. Pick your North Star, you pick a project, you get to work. Cool. Yeah, you work remotely. Prioritize and manage time well. I mean, literally all of us have that problem. So, I mean, after this, I actually have a whole bunch of stuff I'm supposed to do, but my energy is going to be so different because it's different, you know, live, I got to present. And if you guys ever met me in public, I'm not like this. I don't just talk. I have one event that I go to every year called Quarantine, and it's 7 days. I'm in there with 7 days with like 70 people, and almost nobody will know who I am. And I will talk to 5 people the entire time. And by know who I am, I don't mean like know I have a business. I mean they just won't know my name, you know. So barely know I'm literally there, because you know I'm much more of an introvert. But at the end of the day, you just have to you have to focus on work, make work. This is our job as creatives, make work, right? So that done and said, by all means, DM me in the Discord. Be like, hey, I'm, you know, because maybe your Discord's different, so I'm and tell me where you want to work, okay? Because your next job is to figure out what the project is that's going to attract somebody's attention at that company. And that happens, right? So I'll give you guys another example of somebody. One of my character guys who did hair. I have a class with him. Shit, I have a real-time hair class. Not Lithval. How the hell? There he is. Andre was a student way back in the day, guys. And he had the enviable position of actually being the manager of one of his mentors. So he created this project. And, shit. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Okay, so this is what he did in class. Long time. Oh, Jesus, I've been doing it that long. Fuck. Oh my God, guys. I don't want to think about that. He did this project, and this project got him a job it's of Conan Exiles. It got him a job on Conan Exiles. And then at Conan Exiles, he was making all this stuff. Right? So that's what you have to do. You have to pick the project that will attract that company's attention. Because if they're looking for work, they're on ArtStation, right? So if Blizzard needs some modelers that are going to work in the troll team, I'm just going to make that shit up. They're going to go onto ArtStation. They're going to look for trolls to join the troll team, right? It's just how it works. There is no troll team, but just imagine if there was. That's basically how it goes, you know? So they look for the work that they want you to do. Full stop. Okay. All right, guys, I got the 6 people that I wanted to review. Now, what I would love is in the comments, tell me one thing that you learned that's going to help you. You do this one for me because I just gave you a shit ton, so you got to give me something back, right? And then 2, you do it because when you say it out loud and you write it, it goes into you better. And that's important. You need to really soak that information up, okay, and lock it in. So that's what I'm doing with you. It's an exercise I do with everybody. Tell me what you need. So, Arch. Let's see, Instagram is, you want me to look? I tell you what, let's do that later. I don't want to distract you. You won't, this work is too old. So I don't want to like get in and critique and all of that. What I want, DM me, tell me what your company is and your next project is. Because it doesn't matter. What matters is what's the next project. And then maybe we can update this and you can update it with a new date. So it looks like it's fresher. But you need new work because you have new skills. I mean, 3 years you've been working, you got a lot more skills you need to show off. Okay. All right. Give me an example of something you learned, guys. Let's see. And then I'm going to do this again Monday. You guys want to do it again Monday? So I'll have the team put together all the stuff, and it'll just be here at Vertex School. So you just like and subscribe to Vertex School's YouTube, and we will. It'll notify you. I think you have to. There's some kind of button you got to check to get notifications when we go live, and you'll get a notification. It'll be Monday, 12 p.m. We're gonna put a note out. So in the description of this video on YouTube, it has a link to where you submit your portfolio. So as of, I've looked at everybody's as of Monday. If you need me to see it again, submit it again. And depending on how many people I get, I'll figure out my strategy. But so far I did everybody. So we'll see where it goes. You know, if I suddenly get 100, I ain't doing everybody. I love you all, but I got a life. I got a painting. I got a wife somewhere. I got stuff I got to pay attention to. She gets very upset if I don't pay attention to her. You know, she's just needy like that. God. So, and this is 2.5 hours. So, and I did 6. But anyways, play it by ear with me because these are free. I'm not asking anything from you guys. I am really, because there's so much fear, I'm really just trying to come on here and tell you all that there's a system. This is the system. There is a system. Don't be afraid of AI. What AI should do is tell you, you need to get in now. You need to get into the industry now. Using all the tools that you can use. And Adobe, I would be watching Adobe and what they do. Them some smart people. And I'm very happy with Wes and Geo and what those guys are doing. I could not be happier with that duo being part of the Firefly Foundry and pushing AI workflows that are artist friendly, that are built on the workflows that we already have. So you have to know PBR. You have to understand PBR. You got to understand gradients, color variation, value. You got to understand that. And then AI is just going to make it easier for you to hit certain targets, and then you have to art direct it. And then your portfolio, instead of it's just being one environment, you have one environment a week. Wouldn't that be awesome? We'll see where the world goes. Right now, AI is not used. Yeah, I mean, we don't use it in production. I know I said that before, and people are like, well, Midjourney this, whatever. You know, I don't count Midjourney as production, right? And we all have I have my problems with Midjourney, but it doesn't matter. It's not used in 3D production. And there are big issues with it if you're a contractor. For example, Epic doesn't allow it. So if you're at Liartes or something like that and you're using it, it's a massive problem. Don't do it. So you got to know texturing. Doesn't mean people aren't getting around it, but you got to know texturing. You got to understand all that. Get in the industry now, guys. And if you'll see reels coming, don't do college. In my view, don't do college. Don't jump into it now to then get your job 4 years from now. Don't do that. Oh my God, that would be horrible. This would be the worst time, in my opinion, to go to college for game arts. It would be the best time to go to Vertex School or one of the other schools that's focused on a shorter timeline. Because you need to learn the skills now, become employable, get into the industry, and then grow with the industry. Okay. I got in with ZBrush and I grew with ZBrush, and literally everything I have in my life is because I jumped in, right? And I'm just suggesting you guys jump in now, okay? And whatever change happens, you jump on that change. Ain't a thing. It's just going to be something new to learn. And you should not be in this industry if you don't want to learn, because I guarantee you in the next 5 years, all of our workflows are going to be different. And so you want the job now, you want to grow with those changes, it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's going to be cool. Unless James Cameron's right and we have only until 2029 and Skynet brings it all down. So we'll see. Maybe some jiu-jitsu classes. I should really do that. Hand-to-hand combat for the future. It's really a choice. It's like the future either requires hand-to-hand combat or it requires you to jump in and learn your game art skills. I don't know which one. I'm struggling with the choice myself. Maybe both. All right. Have an awesome week. This is the last crit for this week. We'll pick up again on Monday. In the link is the submission. Submit in there, and I will do my best to go through everybody. If we have to go to a lottery, we have to go to a lottery. All right. Thank you. Yeah, D. Is that a B or a D, man? Why would you put a D and a B right next to each other? You're like, it's just mean. Like, for a poor dyslexic like me, I'm like, it's first a D and then a B and then a B and a D. You're messing with me, squared. So, anyways, if you send it today, then we'll talk on Monday. Yeah, cool. Would really love AI? Yeah, so I remember I asked that question about AI, and most people want to learn AI. But then I asked Jacob, and Jacob's like, we don't use it. Like, I don't want to teach them something that we don't do. So I was like, all right, fine. So Vertex is very career focused. So we don't teach stuff that just for the hell of it, right? So we'll nix that. As soon as they start using it, then, and maybe I'll create a separate class for those who just want to mess around. It's just not a production workflow tool. And I love that side hustle, by the way, of miniature food. So tell me more about that in Discord. Hand-to-hand combat, we should do. But how are you going to teach that online? It's a problem. We'll figure it out. All right, thanks, David. Well, it makes sense. David Brian Burns, a DBB. Okay. All right. See y'all. Ciao. Have fun. And then you guys know where to go. Vertex School, somewhere here. Ciao, ciao.